Hi guys, this is the Innovative Minds Tutor. In this video, we are going to work with linear inequalities. Right, linear inequalities are first degree equations. They are just like a linear equation. So we just have to mind the inequality sign. Remember, when you're given greater or equal to greater and less than, you're going to use a open circle in terms of the number line. Greater or equal to and close or equal to, greater or equal to or less than or equal to, you're going to use a closed circle, right? So these are the things that you need to take into consideration. First thing first, let's work out this linear equation, right? First thing first, guys, the first step will be to solve for x, right? Solve for x. That's the first step. Second step, you consider the number line, illustrating your answer in a number line. Third step will be writing it in an interval notation, right? Writing it in an interval notation. Yeah, I know my writing is ugly, but we need to follow the steps. Okay. So let's take -5 to the other side. So we can add by -5, right? So we can just transpose -5 to the other side. Then it will be 0 plus 5. So which will be 5. So already we have solved for x right here. X is greater than 5. Then the second step is to do what? Number line. What you should put in your mind is that this left hand side, it undergoes negative infinity, and this side positive infinity. So we are to represent our solution there. X is greater than 5. Where it is greater, it is on the right hand side where it undergoes positive infinity. So we are going to place 5 here. So it's going to be 5 undergoes positive infinity. So we are going to use an open circle, right? So that will be the solution in this case. But we need to leave our solution also in terms of interval notation. This is inequality form, but let's leave it in terms of interval notation. That will be the same as x is an element of negative infinity. No, not negative infinity. It's going to be 5 and positive infinity. Yes, 5 and positive infinity. Yeah, I was making a mistake because it's not lesser than, it's greater than. So it's going to be 5 and infinity. So let's go to the second equation, guys. The second equation, we are required to solve x plus 18 is less than or equal to 9 minus 2x. Similar technique, guys. We are going to solve for x first, then number line, and illustrate our answers in a number line. Then let's take -2x to the other side, since we want to make x the subject. Let's take 2x to the other side. It's the same as x plus 2x. It's less than or equal to. Let's transpose 18 to the other side. It's the same as 9 minus 18, which will be 9 minus 18 in this case. So x plus 2x, that will be 3x, less than or equal to 9 minus 8, 18. 9 minus 18, it's the same as -9. Then we can divide both sides by 3 to make x the subject of the formula. Then x is less than or equal to -3, because this 3 goes 3 times to 9, right? It goes 3 times to 9, so we are going to have x is less than or equal to -3. Okay, we have to represent our solution in a number line. Since it's less than, it's going towards negative infinity, so it's going to be a -3. It's gonna point this left hand side. So since it's less than or equal to, we are going to use a closed circle. We are going to use a closed circle. So representing it in an interval notation will be x is an element of negative infinity. And then we're going to use a -3 in a bigger bracket. Remember, since it's a closed circle, so use a bigger bracket. Be very careful. Mind your decision in this case. Right, so now the third equation, it's a fraction. Right, you need to have knowledge of fractions. This is the same as 2x plus 1 is divisible by 1 here. To make life easier, or you can use the other technique, which is to multiply by 3 both sides. So, but to make life easier, let me divide by 1. Yes. So we are going to use a cross method since we have greater or equal to. We are allowed to use a cross method. 1 times 2x it's the same as 2x, and 1 times -1 it's the same as -1. 3 times 2x it's the same as 6x, and 3 times 1 it's the same as 3. Then we need to collect the like terms. Let's take 6 to the other side. It will be 2x minus 6x. Then greater or equal to, let's take -1. Changes the direction, changes the sign. That will be 3 plus 1. Then greater or equal to 4. Then 2x minus 6 is the same as negative 4x. Then we could divide both sides by -4. How many times does 4 goes into 4? It goes once, so it will be x is less than -1. The reason is that whenever we divide an inequality sign by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, the direction of an inequality will change. It will change. So since it was greater, it will be less than or equal to -1. So let's represent this or illustrate this in a number line. So we have -1. So we are going to use a closed dot, so it will go this side towards -infinity. So writing it in an interval notation, x is an element of -infinity as well as -1. Then since it's a closed circle, then we're going to use a bigger bracket. So that's that's how we should work out this type of an inequality, right? So let's go to the last equation. The last equation, it's -3 is greater than x minus 1 but lesser than 5. So we have to solve for x in this case. So this type of linear inequality is what we call, a compound inequality. It's a compound inequality. So what we could do is to take 1 and transpose both sides, so that we make 3x the subject. So let's say -3x, -3, let's take 1 to the other side. It will be -3 plus 1, -3 plus 1, and we have 3x here. Similar, we are going to add by 1 both sides. What you do on the left and must be done on the right hand side. -3 plus 1 is the same as 1 minus 3, which is -2, right? Then so from here, what we could do, we could say we have 3x right here. We have 3x, right? And 5 plus 1, it's the same as saying that will be 6, right? 5 plus 1 is 6. Then we need to divide by, let's make x the subject, right? So we need values that will be between x, right? But we can do that by dividing by 3, but all in all, right? Is going to divide by 3 here. So we are going to have -2 all over 3 divided, it's greater than x but lesser than, how many times does 3 goes into 6? It goes twice. So that will be the solution. So let's represent this in a number line. When we represent this in a number line, we are going to have this side, we're going to have -2 all over 3, as well as here we are going to have +2. So remember that this is greater than x. So since it's greater than x, it's going to point on the right hand side. So and this one is lesser than 2, it's going to point on the left hand side. So we are going to use open dots, since there's a less, it's not less or equal to, it's less, so we are going to use open dots, right? So that will be the solution. So let's represent this in an interval notation. In an interval notation, it will be x is an element of -2 all over 3 and 2. So that's the solution in this case. So if it was less or equal to, we could use a bigger bracket, but we will leave it in this manner. So this is how you can work out your inequalities, guys. Hope you find this video useful, and don't forget to subscribe and like, and remember, we love you.